What's up, world, and welcome to episode 5 of the Take One podcast. I am your host, Chris, and I know I've been promising a lot of stuff. Episode 5 is supposed to be put out soon, as well as episode 6, but as I'm recording this right now, I'm recording episode 6 right after. So this time, I promise, episode 6, if you're listening to it right now, episode 6 is up right now. So after you get done listening to this, go check out episode 6. This episode is just primarily talking about movie news and a bunch of other stuff, but episode 6 is going to be all DC everything, because between this last week and this week, it's been a bunch of movie news, and primarily a lot of it has been coming from DC. Within the past few days, they've been dropping a lot of stuff. So I wanted to dedicate a whole show to talking about everything, because it's a bunch of stuff to get in. It's a bunch of stuff to get into, and I just didn't want to overcrowd this episode, because with the other movie news that's like piled on top of DC and what they've been dropping, I would probably be talking for like 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours, and I'm not trying to go for that long. So just to cut it short, yeah, so this is not going to have any DC news on it that's been dropped. Episode 6 is all about that. This one I'm talking about other things. As you know to the title, Marvel has been dropping 2 new synopsis or whatever for their movies. And, you know, you got the King Kong thing, King Kong news for the new King Kong reboot. And, you know, just a bunch of other stuff. So I'm going to get into that real quickly, but as I've been saying lately in the other podcasts, if you are subscribed to my channel, you would notice that it hasn't been a lot of content on my channel lately. And that's because I've just been dealing with a lot of stuff within the past months and stuff. And I'm just trying to get my mind right and trying to get back focused into what I'm doing. And I really don't want to get into it, because I really want to get into this podcast. But just real quickly, and I'm going to get into the movie news and everything else that y'all cut this on to listen to. But one of the things that happened in my life recently, as of today, the date is June 23rd. And it's a Thursday. So June 20th, my cousin passed. And I'm not going to get too sappy. I'm not going to talk too long on it. But I feel like I want to honor him. And I bring him up because my cousin, me and him was very close. Very, very close. Anyone that knew him knew how much of a loving, caring person he was. Anybody he was around or he knew, he impacted their lives really well. He was a very funny, charismatic person to be around. If you needed help, he was there. Like, you know, it's times where, you know, I wasn't financially able to do stuff for myself, as far as like if I wanted to go to the movies, you know, if he was offering, I would say no, and he'd be like, yo, I got you. And, you know, he would just do stuff like that just out of the kindness of his heart. And that type of stuff really kind of like, you know, I appreciated him doing that. Even though a lot of times I didn't want him to do that. It's just, he did it because we were family. And I'm not going to get too much into it, because I'm getting choked up right now. But yeah, and just if you needed a friend, if you needed advice, if you needed someone to talk to, because it's times where I've been down. At one point in my life, I was to the point where I wanted to commit suicide, which I didn't want to tell a lot of people, because I've been going through a lot of stuff throughout my life, and he was there for me at that lowest point, and he talked me out of it. He was there for me, and I just want to honor him in that fashion. As you guys can hear me, you know, I'm getting kind of choked up about it right now, but you know, I just wanted to bring to light of just what type of person he was, and I wanted to do it in a way to where, you know, people can listen to it and, you know what type of impact he made in my life. Cecil Parker, I love you, man. Sad to see you go, but when it's my time, I hope to see you up there in heaven, which I will. And just my prayers go out to his family and just all of his friends and everyone else, my family that got affected by it too. And I'm just going through it, and day by day it's getting better. But I just wanted to bring light to it. I wasn't gonna talk too much about it, but I just wanted to share this thing that happened in my life recently. And getting that off my chest, let's get into what you guys cut this podcast on for, which is movie entertainment news or whatever. So we're gonna start off with if you saw the title, like I said, Marvel dropped 2 new synopses for 2 upcoming movies. The first one I'm gonna get into is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and a lot of people kind of just throw it Guardians of the Galaxy 2 or whatever. It's the proper name for it, or the official name for it is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Basically, if you've seen the first movie, Peter Quill carries around a mixtape that his mom gave him, and so he's listening to that. So it's basically the same songs, and this one is kind of I guess you can say, kind of connected to that. I can't find the words, but it's kind of centered around that. When you get a mixtape, you got a volume 1, volume 2. So this is kind of playing on that. So Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 just got a synopsis, and bear with me. I'm gonna try and read through this or whatever and not mess up. But the synopsis goes as: set to the backdrop of awesome mixtape number 2, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 continues the team's adventure as they traverse through the outer reaches of the cosmos. The Guardians must fight to keep their newfound family together as they unravel the mysteries of Peter Quill's true parentage. Old foes become new allies, and fan-favorite characters from the classic comics will come to our heroes' aid as the Marvel Cinematic Universe continues to expand. Now, what do I think about that? These are my thoughts. It sounds pretty cool. It sounds like Marvel is trying to throw in a few more characters and trying to shake up the Guardians of the Galaxy movie universe, or it's connected to the whole thing, but just the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, trying to shake it up a little bit. And it seems like they're trying to go a little bit bigger than what they was, because if you've seen the first film, it's pretty big. I mean, it's a big cinematic movie, and this one seemed like they're trying to go bigger. Now, a lot of times you get that bigger isn't always better, but a lot of times it is. And so a lot of people like the first ones, even better than the Avengers, the first Avengers movie, which in my opinion, the Avengers movie was better, but I do see why they did Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, why they did it, the reasons why they did like it. But this one, when the thing that I get from it is that, of course, we already knew that it's going to kind of center a lot on Peter Quill's father and who he is. And I don't read the comic, so I don't know too much about Guardians or whatever. I know what I've heard from YouTube and, just the movies and, just stuff like that. But from what I know, I don't know if this would be a spoiler to certain people who don't know anything about the movies besides what they saw in the movie, or just the story about Peter Quill. But spoilers, whatever. I guess Peter Quill's father is part of the Kree or the Inhumans, or he's he's from some type of alien race, and so that's why Peter Quill was able to hold on to that gem at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy and not get torn up by it. So I'm guessing I believe what was it? I forgot who said to play his father, but I guess that's going to be a major plot point within this movie of finding who he is, because I guess he has something major to do with just the plot of the movie. And so what else I see from it is that it says old foes become new allies. Now when you think of old foes, it only had one movie. So the main villain died. So I mean, you can't really say that he's gonna help the Guardians. But what's her name? Gamora's sister, whatever her name is, probably is gonna team up with with the Guardians and help them do what they need to do, or solve whatever problem. And then you probably might have the Collector. Probably might help them out with whatever they need helping out with. And I mean, it's not too many characters to dear from that are foes, because like I said, they only had one movie. But it did say that there's going to be new characters from the classic comic book. And so I haven't read the comic book, so I don't know what characters, like any character that they introduce is going to be new to me. Even though like people who read the comic books like, oh, it might be this person, it might be that person, blah blah blah. It's like I just I don't know. I don't have any guesses for it, but overall, it sounds pretty good from what I'm hearing. It sounds like they're taking a step into the right direction of progressing the story and moving along. My whole thing is, I wonder, like, how is it gonna, like, what are they gonna do to connect it to the other movies? Because it's like, in the first film, it was connected to the other movies because the main, Drax, his whole purpose was trying to basically get to the point where he can kill Thanos. So that's the connection that they had to the rest of the other cinematic universe, or just the Avengers, and whatever what they're leading up to. And so I wonder, like, what other connections are they going to have? I mean, you already got the Collector, who was at the end of Thor: The Dark World, I believe, and so he was in Guardians of the Galaxy. So I mean, I like to get those connections. I like to find those, even if they're blatant, or you just suddenly, if they're just like real subtle, and then not really blatant, but you see the connection. Somebody says something that's connecting to a Iron Man movie or Avengers movie or whatever. So I just want to know what connections it is. I want to know the characters, what new characters are going to bring to it, and just the old foes, and just what's going on to where all this is like has to be together. The good and the bad work together. What type of threat do they have to come together to fight off? So, but I'm just going over and over again with what I'm saying. But you kind of get what I'm saying. Like, I'm interested. I'm interested in seeing this movie. The first one was good. I didn't find it as good as everyone said it was, but I still enjoyed it. It still was a good movie. And this one, I hope is better. I hope I leave the theater thinking like, yo, this is the shit. But yeah, those are my thoughts. So let me move on to the other Marvel movie, Synopsis, which is Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange, strangely enough, is a movie that I wasn't too. I'm not with. He's kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy or Ant-Man. You don't know too much about the character, but as it gets closer, you start to learn more about it. And me, I haven't really. I don't know. Like, Doctor Strange seems like he's an interesting character, but not interesting for me to try and dig up all this stuff and try and find out, who he is, what he is, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I know a decent amount about him and why he is, and that he's one of the strongest beings or heroes in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Well, not Cinematic Universe, but I mean, I guess right now he kind of is. I don't know how they're going to play him, but just in Marvel Universe, in the comic book universe. And this, as the first trailer came out, I became very interested in the movie and seeing it. I feel like this movie is going to be great. I feel like this movie is going to be good. It's going to be just like an Ant-Man. It's going to be just like a Guardians of the Galaxy, where no one knows about this property, but when you see the movie, you're going to be like, oh, this is such a good movie. And so, a few days ago, they dropped the synopsis for this movie as well, and I'm about to read this to you, and hopefully I can get through it without, messing it up. So here it goes. The synopsis for the Doctor Strange movie. And it goes as follows. Marvel's Doctor Strange follows the story of the talented neurosurgeon Dr. Stephen Strange, who, after a tragic car accident, must put ego aside and learn the secrets of a hidden world and mysticism and alternate universes. Based in New York's Green Ridge Village, Doctor Strange must act as a intermediary between the real world and what lies beneath, utilizing a vast array of metaphysical abilities and artifacts to protect the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, that seems so interesting. It seems so cool, awesome. Whatever words you want to like put for it, it sounds so good. Basically it tells the whole story right there. Like he was a neurosurgeon, a guy that uses his hands, and so once he hurts himself in the car accident and he can't utilize his hands, he looks to magic, and then he finds himself within the realm of the other world and the real world, and just all this crazy stuff, just dealing with magic. And it seems like he has a big responsibility once after he learns how to use magic and all this stuff, which I believe that's how it is up in the comic. But it seemed like they're utilizing that storyline for the theatrical version of Dr. Stephen Strange, and I love it. I love just how it sounds. And just it got me even more pumped for this movie, just to see what type of crazy stuff they have in store for it. Because one thing that a lot of people like about the Marvel movies is that not every single Marvel movie is the same. You might find some of them that are similar, but then at the same time you find some of them that are different from each other. Like you have Ant-Man, which was a heist film. You get Captain America, the Winter Soldier, and that one was kind of like a spy thriller. And then you have the Avengers, the team up action-packed movie, and you have different type of feels for the movies. Even though they have all kind of similar feels, you still get a different tone to them. And Marvel, Captain America, I just call it Marvel's Civil War, because that's basically what it was. It wasn't Captain America Civil War, no, it was Marvel's Civil War, or the Avengers Civil War, whatever. But yeah, I mean, and that one had kind of more of a political type feel to it. It was dark, but at the same time it was light, I guess you could say. I don't know, it's like a mixture in between both. But yeah, I mean, that was kind of like more political, and all these movies had different feels to it and different tones. And Doctor Strange, it has more of a mystical, magical type tone, more of a fantasy type tone to it. And I mean, I haven't seen it, but just from the trailers and the synopsis and everything that we got from the pictures and stuff like that, you get this. It has a different tone to it. That it's going to have a different type of look to it and everything else. And just from the trailer itself, it's going to have a lot of trippy stuff. And it got me like really interested just to see what they do with the movie, just to see everything, like how creative they can get with it. And like I said, just the synopsis, it makes me even more excited to go see this movie. So I can't wait. It come out this year in November. I'm going to be one of the first people to go see it. If they have any early screenings, I'm going to go, because this movie looks like it's going to be freaking awesome. Like Inception mixed with like Interstellar and all these other type of movies. Christopher Nolan should have just, directed this. But yeah, I mean, and those are my thoughts for that. So moving on, the next thing that I'm going to talk about is the Tupac movie, I guess you could say the autobiography movie or whatever, called All Eyes on Me. The trailer dropped, I believe, trailer dropped earlier this week, and I got a chance to look at it. It's pretty decent. It's more of a teaser trailer. It's not really a full-fledged, full-on trailer, but it's actually a pretty decent trailer. It starts off with just seeing the back of his head and blah, 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 and they show different scenes or whatever. And then you finally get to see the actor that plays him, how he looks. And he looks dead on, almost dead on to how Tupac looked. So they got the right the person as far as looks go. As far as like acting and talent, I don't know. This is a person I've never seen before. Hopefully he can bring Tupac and his like charismatic character to the big screen, how he was in real life. Hopefully he can bring that out, and hopefully it's written well, and that this movie is good, at least good. It don't have to be great. It don't have to be one of the greatest autobiography films on, an artist or whoever. It just has to be good. Hopefully it is good. It was a part of the commercial part of the trailer, part of the trailer where the actor actually spoke, and that's one thing that I'm kind of worried about. Tupac, when he talked, he had kind of like a bass to his voice. He had kind of like a unique, kind of like just the way he is. He had a unique voice, and so I heard the actor speak, and he doesn't have that type of voice. So that's one thing that kind of got me worried about. Is like, is that going to play a major factor in how this movie is perceived? Because a lot of times those little things could, basically hinder. I ain't gonna say hinder, but can like turn a lot of people off. Because if you got the look down and he acts good, like, is the voice thing gonna be a major issue, not only for me but for other people? But I feel like maybe, if he acts real good and he knows how to act like Tupac, he can channel Tupac and bring it to the movie, bring it to the big screen. Then how he talks, if he's not channeling Tupac through voice, or at least trying to change his voice to sound like Tupac, and not doing it in a way to where it's like he's trying, but actually sounding like Tupac, or sounding somewhat near Tupac's voice pattern is. If his acting is like really good, I feel like people will overlook it, especially if he does a good job with it. But overall, I wasn't too impressed by that trailer, but I mean, it seemed more of a teaser. So I mean, it really didn't get too much from it. Maybe once they put out another trailer, an official full-length trailer, we can get more of it and see what they're trying to do with it. Because right now it's just, you saw different scenes and, people talking and blah, blah, and, so I didn't really get too much from it. But, I mean, I like what they gave us so far. So, I mean, it is what it is. So, moving on to news had came out about King Kong. Now, for those who are kind of confused, some years ago, it was a Peter Jackson, same dude that was responsible for Lord of the Rings. He put together this King Kong movie, which was like longer than life itself. That movie's so long. It was good. It wasn't a great film, but it was about basically 3 movies within one. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. This is not a continuation of that story. This is not that King Kong. This is a reboot. So we're going to see a different King Kong. And it's called King Kong Skull Island. I believe that movie, it comes out next year in March 10th, 2017. And this movie, the reason why they rebooted it because the other one didn't do, or wasn't perceived as what they wanted it to be. And so they had this idea. They made this crappy ass Godzilla movie in 2014, which I did not like. The best part of it was the end. Other than that, it was and that's another story. But they wanted to do something to where do a shared universe like Marvel and DC, basically what Marvel is doing, what every other company is trying to do now. But they want to do a Godzilla versus King Kong movie. In order to do that, you have to have a King Kong that will be able to fight a Godzilla. And the King Kong that was in the Peter Jackson film, is not nowhere big enough to fight a skyscraper ass Godzilla monster. That King Kong would get stepped on by Godzilla. So in a sense, it's like, they needed a bigger one. So the only logical thing is to reboot it. So that's what they did. And that's what we're getting. So next year we're going to get a bigger King Kong, which is said to be 100 feet. Which is not really as big as Godzilla is, because I believe they said Godzilla is like, 600 and something feet. But, I mean, even if he's 100 feet, he's still big enough to, I guess, afflict some damage. I don't know. We have to see how he looks. I don't know. It's just I just want to see how they do it. I feel like they can go a little bit bigger, but if they did, I guess you can see how can they contain them, or I don't know. But I mean, this is supposed to be, it is. This is going to be the biggest King Kong ever produced on film. And so I just want to see what they do with it. Like I said, the other one was pretty good. It was just long as shit. Just 3 movies placed into one movie for like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, or 3 hours, however long that movie was. It was fucking 15 hours. But yeah. So I'm just want to see what they do with this King Kong movie, because I was not impressed by Godzilla. I was not impressed. That movie was just, they could have kept that. The best scene, like I said, was the end. But of course, it made the money that garnered a sequel. So they're coming out with the Godzilla 2, and then after that, they're going to have the Godzilla versus King Kong movie, which is, I believe 2019, 2020, somewhere. It's a long ways away. Just know that it's a long ways away. And so, yeah. So we're going to have a bigger King Kong to face a giant freaking Godzilla. So I can't wait to see what they do with that. I just can't wait to see what they do with King Kong. Hopefully this movie is better than what they did with Godzilla. Hopefully we get to actually see several fights, or whatever the hell, or whatever they're trying to do with it. And so going on to the next topic. Next topic is about Wolverine 3 again. On the last podcast we were talking about it. They had released new set photos about it, and it was just little regular photos and all this stuff. This time around, we got I guess right now, an official title, because it's been registered by Fox, 2 titles for the movie. I guess they're trying to figure out which one fits, or which one sounds better. Hopefully they might change it, because I personally don't like it. I feel like they should have named the first Wolverine movie this, but the title of it, one of the titles is Wolverine 3 Weapon X, as well as they get registered just Weapon X. Now, Wolverine 3 Weapon X sounds better. It sounds it sounds better than just Weapon X, because anybody who knows the comic books, hopefully I'm not getting my knowledge wrong, but Wolverine is Weapon X. And they had, I guess it has to do with the experiments. And Weapon X, he's the 10th experiment to do the process. And I guess that has to do with the clawing with the adamantium, and what he has, the adamantium claws or whatever. So he's the 10th person to get this put on him. So he's Weapon X. And so why they chose to give that title to Wolverine 3 when he's already had it within the first film, it seemed like it should have been appropriate for X-Men Origins Wolverine. They should have just called it Weapon X, or Wolverine Weapon X. That seemed like it would have been a better title for that. But for this one, if they had to go with a title, just Weapon X, I feel they shouldn't go that route. Only because a lot of people who watch these movies just watch the movies. They don't know that Wolverine is Weapon X. They don't know what Weapon X is. They probably haven't even heard of Weapon X. I mean, they probably heard of it, but really ain't paid attention to it in the other X-Men films or, the other Wolverine films. So it's like, just to call it Weapon X, any average moviegoer would be like, oh, what is that, a new movie? They wouldn't associate that with X-Men, Wolverine, and all that stuff. So to give it a title, I would feel like, just not only just personally, just for it being the better title, but just for fan recognition or just recognition in itself, is to call it Wolverine 3 Weapon X, because you're still giving it the Wolverine 3, saying this is the third Wolverine movie, and then you're giving it a second title, Weapon X. That way, when you hear Weapon X from then on, the average moviegoer is going to associate that with Wolverine, and they're going to get a better understanding that Weapon X is Wolverine, Wolverine is Weapon X, and it's going to, it's going to make more sense than just Weapon X. Because Weapon X, you can get that to a new Vin Diesel movie, and it just call it that with a different storyline. It's like a lot of people are not going to catch on to it. So, and with Wolverine being a big name, and Hugh Jackman, or just Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. I mean, Wolverine is such a big character, but just to the average moviegoer now, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine is such a big money maker. You might as well keep Wolverine in the title and just call it Wolverine 3 Weapon X. Don't call it Wolverine or the Wolverine Weapon X. Just call it Wolverine 3 Weapon X. Bam, just simple. Even though I'm not too big of a fan of it, if they had to go with either title, that's the title I would choose. But yeah, and so they got both of them registered. So for now, that's what they might end up going with. So with that said, moving on to the next title, well, to the next topic, The Conjuring 2 is having a spinoff. To anybody who's seen The Conjuring 2, I'm having a review on it. Going to be up on my channel soon, so you get my thoughts about that. But the main ghost, I don't know if you might call this a spoiler. I don't care, whatever. Spoiler if you don't want to hear anything about it, blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, it's not really a spoiler. But the main antagonist of The Conjuring 2 is a nun. It's supposed to be a demonic nun. And from what I got from it, what I read on it, and, just learned from it, was that James Wan inserted the nun, and I don't want y'all to take that the wrong way. James Wan inserted the nun, the demonic nun character in at the last minute. That before it was supposed to be a horned demon, but then I guess they changed their mind, and I guess he had an idea about a demonic nun and thought that would fit, the movie. So they kind of changed the horned demon to the demonic nun. And I mean, a lot of times when you do stuff like that, it's kind of like, oh, this works. It ended up making it better, because a lot of people like the demonic nun as far as being like scared by it or whatever. So now, since he did that, he opened up a can of worms, just like he did with Annabelle. And now The Conjuring 2 is going to have a spinoff in itself, just like The Conjuring had the spinoff with Annabelle. This movie is about to have a spinoff with the demonic nun called The Nun. And it's like, I mean, I have no problem with it. To me, I'm not going to say too much because I got my review coming out with it. To me, I don't know, like, the nun, there's nothing special about it. I can see the whole Annabelle thing. Yeah, whatever. That called for it. But just the nun, I don't know, like, I mean, the nun was scary, but it was just, I really didn't feel anything unique or special about it to where it was like they needed to, make a spin-off for, just the nun. But hopefully, when more stuff comes out about it, and when they finally start shooting it, or the script is written and they start shooting it, and then they start releasing photos and start showing trailers to it, hopefully it looks amazing. I mean, because it's like I'm kind of caught in a catch-22, because the first Conjuring I loved. I freaking love that movie. Even just the beginning of it. The Annabelle story at the beginning of the Conjuring movie. And just for those who haven't seen the Conjuring, this isn't a spoiler. And I'm talking about the first Conjuring. And if you haven't seen it and you are a horror fan, or you can watch horror films, or just even stand horror films, watch the Conjuring. Not only is that movie freaking horrifying, as far as just being a scary movie, and I mean that in a good way. It is like a fucking scary ass movie. It's creepy as hell. But it's just a good film altogether. Just in how it's made. If you haven't seen it, watch it. Get it at the store, rent it, however you need to see it. Watch the movie. It's freaking amazing. But the Annabelle story at the beginning of it is just so creepy. It's so scary. It's like it starts off good. So I could see them wanting to do the Annabelle spinoff, which that movie was horrible. That movie was garbage. Only had 2 scenes in there that was actually creepy and scary. Other than that, they could have kept that movie, or at least rewrote it and did it differently, because that was just horrific. And now I hear that they're doing a sequel, and no, they just need to just leave Annabelle alone. Either give it to somebody that can do good with it, or just stop it. But yeah, I mean, so back to the Nun, that's what kind of got me kind of skeptical about it, because what they did with Annabelle was just horrible. That movie was bad. So it's like, if they do this spinoff, or continue with it, which they more than likely, it sounds like it's really going to happen. They're not going to be like, oh, we changed our minds, but it's going to happen, because it sounds like they're really committed to doing this. But once they do it and it comes out, hopefully the movie is scary. It don't have to be as scary as The Conjuring, but it just has to be good and scary enough to where you leave the theater and not regretting you wasting your money to go see this at the theater. So I just hope that they do better with this movie than they did with Annabelle. And if they do, I will be one happy camper, because from what I hear is that they're doing a Conjuring 3. Hell, do as many Conjurings as you want, as long as they're good. As long as James Wan keeps directing them and making them good, or you find a director that can carry on what James Wan has done with the Conjuring movies, hell, I'm all for it. As long as you make a great film, as well as on top of it being scary and creepy, and all the elements that needs to be done to make a horror film just connect together and basically makes it a great horror film movie, I'm all for it. I don't care. I'm all for it. Conjuring, you got my money right now in my pocket. You got it. It's whatever. And so, moving on to the next topic, Alien Covenant, which was prior to this title was called Prometheus 2. Then it went to Alien Paradise Lost. Now it's Alien Covenant. Now this movie has been in the works for a long time. This movie has been planned ever since before, I think, during production of the first Prometheus movie. And I'm going to just talk briefly on that, and I'm going to get to my thing. Okay, so yeah, Prometheus was being made. It was told it was going to be a prequel. And so Ridley Scott said that he had plans to make 2, and I believe, 2 more sequels after Prometheus. And that it wasn't going to connect to Alien, blah, 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 and all that stuff. Which that was a lie, because it had a xenomorph in the movie and blah, blah, blah. And so, if you haven't seen Prometheus, this is a spoiler. But if you haven't seen it by now, that's your loss. Whatever. Obviously, it wasn't perceived well. I thought the movie was good. Or just okay, at the least. It wasn't a great film. but I did like it. I haven't. It's a lot of problems with it, but I did like it. I'll watch it again. Whatever. I have no problems with watching it again. It wasn't bad. But at the end of it, the character Shaw had David's head, and they were going to go find the engineers on their planet to find out where humans came from. And so that's where the second one was supposed to pick off from. So when we got the news about, all the whatever you wanted to call this movie, it might have another name change before it even is like wrapped up. But we was told that the actress that plays Shaw, that she wasn't going to come back for the sequel to Prometheus. And it's like, that doesn't make sense because she was the main character in the first movie. And now her story was supposed to continue with David going to the engineer's home planet to, do stupid shit, because why would you go to an alien planet that literally just tried to kill you and your crew? But whatever. You want to go to a planet filled with those motherfuckers. But whatever. And so it was supposed to continue with that. And so we got news that she wasn't coming back for the movie, that the whole synopsis, I don't have it in front of me, but basically the synopsis was supposed to be that a new team somehow was going to a alien planet, which was supposed to be, I guess it's going to be where the engineers home planet, and they end up finding David's head, and then they get into a whole bunch of shit and blah blah. And so it begs the question, like, where is Shaw at? Like, did she die? Whatever the hell, is she gonna be in a movie? Is she gonna be referenced, or whatever? And so news just came out recently that the actress that plays Shaw, she is confirmed to be in Prometheus 2. As we know now, is going to be Alien Covenant. And I was happy about that. I'm like, yo, I didn't love, Prometheus. I thought it could have been way better. But like I said, I didn't hate it. But at the same time, I was looking forward to seeing Prometheus 2. Even before that, because I knew that he was going to make two sequels. So it was like, yeah, this movie is going to end off on a whole bunch of questions, unanswered questions. So it's like, okay, they're going to be answered in the sequels or whatever. And so when her story ends like that, on a cliffhanger, it's like, okay, now it got me intrigued and interested in seeing where it's going to take us in the second one. And so now we're going to see where her story goes, or, where her story ends, because they already had the synopsis and, the script written for her. So it's like, did they just add her in after not having her in there? Like, what did they do with her character? Is she going to be in a flashback scene, or is she really going to be there? Is she going to be there? I mean, as of now, she's like recorded like 2 weeks full of like footage. So it's like, what is her character doing? Is she still alive, or what's going on? That's what kind of got me wondering and curious to know about this movie. Like, I just want to know all this stuff, and just where they're gonna go further with her story, just in particular. And that's really the only character. Her and David is like really the only people that we care about, because those are the only two survivors from the first Prometheus movie. And so the other characters we don't know too much about. We're gonna learn them, in this new movie. But I'm just curious to see where her story continues to, or if she ends up dying, and if she doesn't, is she surviving to the end? Is she going to get carried? Is her character going to carry on into the third film? And like, what's all going to happen with that? So I'm extremely happy that her character is back in his second film, and I'm just curious to see what's happening with it. And so moving on to the last and final topic of this podcast, and I'm making good timing, is I'm going to talk about the new Power Rangers movie. They just released the first poster for this movie. I believe it's the first poster. Yeah, first poster. They released the new poster. I'm going to just say that, for the movie. And the poster is really plain. It's not too much to it. It doesn't show, them in their suits or anything like that. What the picture, if you haven't seen the picture yet, it's online. Just look up Power Rangers movie poster 2017, blah, blah. And you'll see it. And what it basically has in it is that it has it's a faraway shot, and it's at nighttime, and it shows like silhouettes of a car, and then it has 4 of the Rangers on top, and they're not in their suits, they're just in regular clothing and stuff, and they're standing on top of the vehicle, and then you have one that's on the ground standing. It's just, you just see the silhouette, you don't see, the color of their clothing, just all dark figures. And then above them, you see in the stars, you see the Power Rangers logo, the lightning bolt or whatever. And it's like, I like it. I mean, it's not too much. I mean, it's not really saying, not saying too much. It don't have too much going on in it. But, anybody who watched the Power Rangers, like, I am a 90s baby. I was born in the late 80s, but at the same time, my whole childhood is throughout the 90s. So I'm a 90s baby. 90s baby. I'm just say that. I'm a 90s baby. Power Rangers was my favorite show growing up at the time. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I have to put that. The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was my favorite show when I was younger. And my brothers and sisters, they can contest to that. And so I was a big fan of that. So in seeing this, it kind of like, if you know the story, it's just the Power Rangers, the suit Zordon and all that stuff come from outer space. So this is alien technology that they use to save the Earth from Rita Repulsa and all the forces of evil that she commands and all that stuff. And so that's basically what I got from the poster. It's not saying too much, but it's showing that, okay, you got these Power Rangers, they're earthbound, they're humans. But then you see you got Power Rangers, the lightning symbol in the sky, in the it's basically in the form of stars. So you see it in stars making the formation of the lightning bolt or whatever. And that's just basically saying that these suits and the Power Rangers, lineage or whatever is from outer space. So you have that. And it's saying a lot without saying too much. Or, it's saying a lot by saying a little. And it's just a simple poster. I mean, it's not meant to be astounding. It's not meant to just wow people. It's just meant to be like, if you're walking in the movie theaters, you'll stop, look at it and be like, oh, Power Rangers movie. Okay, cool. This and that. It's nothing spectacular, but I like it. Like I said, I was a big fan of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers when I was younger. So I'm excited for this movie, and seeing that poster, it makes me even more excited. Like, I don't know if this movie is going to do good. I hope this movie is fucking phenomenal. The old movies, I like the first Power Rangers movie back in the late 90s, I believe it was released. Yeah, around late 90s or whatever, or not. In the 90s Power Rangers movie, I'm going to just put it like that. The 90s Power Rangers movie that came out, I was a big fan of that. I mean, today, looking at it, it's goofy. It has a lot of problems. The graphics and CG used for it was just horrible when you're looking at it now. But at the same time, it's nostalgic. And that's basically what it is. This movie is more nostalgic for me. So looking at the poster, it kind of got me, get the little nostalgia tingles in it that, that you get when you're watching, when you see Power Rangers and all this stuff. So it got me a little bit more excited for it. Hopefully, when they release more stuff, more posters, or when we finally see a trailer, it will get my blood boiling and wanting, or just my blood pumping and ready to, see this movie. Because I'm definitely going to go see this movie, especially if the trailers are looking awesome. Hopefully this movie is good and it garners not 7 more sequels. Let's, calm it down. They want to do 7 more sequels, but, let us see how this first one pan out. And then the second one and the third one. And then we could talk about doing multiple other sequels or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see this in the poster. I liked it. It was not too much, but it was simple, but to the point, and just showing what all Power Rangers is about. And just, just a tad bit. And so with that said, this concludes episode 5 of the Take One podcast. And I'd like to thank you guys for joining me and putting up with my talking of movies and everything else that I want to talk about, and all the craziness and blah 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 and all that. And so like I said before, episode 5 is right now. Episode 6 I'm about to record right after I get done with this, so they're going up at the same time. So as soon as you see episode 5, you're gonna see episode 6 go on right away. And episode 6 is all DC news. A lot of it has dropped within the past few days, and I'm just covering it in one show. So go ahead and like this video, comment, tell me what you think about the topics, and whether you like it, you didn't like it, you disagree with me, or you agree with me, whatever. Go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, as well as share this podcast if you like it. Go ahead and share it with your friends or whatever, and like let them get a listen. If they like it, keep sharing it. Support, and all this good stuff. So, that wraps up this show. So I will catch you guys next time. Follow me on Facebook. Well, I haven't got my Facebook thing set up, but follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/resultsi1, and that's 1 being the number 1, and also twitter.com/take1_reviews. You can also follow me on Instagram at basically at Take One Reviews, and catch me on Snapchat, augustcjones. And I think that's about it. I don't have anything else. So I will catch you guys next time. Peace out.